What up, YouTube? It is time for another PC building video. 5 years later, I went and I just checked my YouTube channel. I built my last computer 5 years ago, and I have a build video of that. You can go back on my channel and watch that if you feel like watching it. But I decided to make another build video for my new computer. Now, I do have to say that even though that my old computer was 5 years old, it ran great, and there really shouldn't have been any reasons to get another computer, but I'm an idiot, I guess. My USB ports were causing problems. They were getting loose, and you could physically look in there and see that the pins were all messed up, and it was getting to the point where I was kind of like running out of USB ports. So I thought that I could unsolder a USB socket and solder on another one, and it was a USB 3.0 dual stack socket, so it was like 18 pins plus your ground post, and I messed up the motherboard. I shorted out the motherboard or what have you, and I should have known that I would have done that, because those motherboards have, I don't know if they're 5 or 6 layer motherboards. I should have known that I was going to mess up the motherboard. So I thought, no problem, I messed up the motherboard. Well, it turns out that that socket I use for my CPU, they no longer manufacture that motherboards using that socket anymore. So I would have to buy a used or refurbished motherboard off of eBay from Hong Kong, and that was looking at it was going to end up being $100 to do that, and I just figured it was better off. It's been 5 years. It was better off just to buy a new motherboard, new CPU, and I had to buy new RAM, because the RAM that I was using back then, DDR3, they no longer use DDR3 anymore. They use DDR4. So I ended up buying new computer parts, and I ended up having to do. I'm going to have a new computer building video, because I was an idiot, I guess. But that computer ran great, and I was having a couple couple that made me think about reinstalling Windows, but I never actually did it. I was having a couple weird problems where this one program, I couldn't run the 64-bit version, because the folders were messed up or something about the 64-bit program, but I was able to run the 32-bit version of the program fine. So there was little things that was adding up, Windows issues that I thought about reinstalling Windows, but I never actually got to that point. And if I wasn't an idiot, wouldn't have touched it, I wouldn't have even thought about building another computer. And then, like I said, at first I thought about just swapping out the motherboard, because the computer ran great, but the amount of money I was going to put in the motherboard, I thought it was just, all that stuff's 5 years old. I just figured it was better just to start brand new. So I am going to be reusing the computer case and power supply, and and you'll be seeing that later on. And I was running 2 mechanical hard drives. I was running a 1 terabyte and a 4 terabyte hard drive for storage, and I was booting off of a 128 gigabyte SSD drive, and I was going to reuse that 128 gigabyte SSD drive, but the thing is, SSD drives have really come down in price the last 5 years, and I was able to get this 500 gigabyte SSD drive that's an M.2, so it goes right into the motherboard, for this is Western Digital Black, for $150. So I thought it was just, and I was having problems that 128 gigabytes for my boot drive, because of some of the programs I had on it. I had to constantly keep on top of it, and move stuff around to keep that 128 gigabytes free. So when I started looking into it, I thought it was worth the investment of getting a new SSD drive. So I'm not going to reuse the old one. And I'm going to reuse the power supply. I have a 550 watt power supply, and I did a calculation on all my new stuff. That 550 watt power supply is plenty. And I'm going to be reusing my graphics card, which I'm not a big gamer. I do game a little bit and do video editing, but the graphics card is a GTX 660. I'm not 100% sure on that. So I'm going to reuse all that, and I have a little TV tuner card that I use to record some TV shows that I'm going to reuse. But let's get to the new stuff. I probably rambled on long enough. What I ended up deciding to buy? Well, I ended up deciding to buy Intel i7 8700K, which is the unlocked edition for overclocking. And I was thinking about just getting the 8700, not the K, because the 8700 comes with the heatsink. But for expandability and future use, I thought having the 8700K was worth the price upgrade. And because it doesn't come with the heatsink, I bought this single fan 140 millimeter heatsink, which is how big 140 millimeter heatsink is, but it'll work fine in my case. I have a case designed for that. And for the motherboard, I wanted to look around for the Z370 chipsets. So I ended up getting an MSI Tomahawk. Now everything that I talked about, I ended up getting it off of Amazon. Usually I was a Newegg buyer, but this time around Newegg wasn't really offering that big of a deals, and the rebates Newegg has, like the rebate for this motherboard applies to Amazon too. So with me having Amazon Prime, getting 5% off, I just went ahead and bought this stuff on Amazon than Newegg. And for the past week, I was looking at prices, looking at Newegg flash sales to kind of gauge what I was going to get. And like I said, I made up my mind I wanted a Z370 chipset. So I decided that the Tomahawk, for the price point and the what it had on it, was the one I was going to get. I did get one thing off of Newegg Flash. I ended up getting 16 gigabytes, 2 8 gigabyte sticks of DDR4 RAM, and it's Ripjaws V, G-Skill Ripjaws V or Ripjaws 5, and DDR 3200, 2 8 gigabyte sticks. And I got this off of I weighed it and got it off of a Newegg Flash sale. And like I said, I couldn't reuse my old RAM because my old RAM was DDR3. And my old computer, in the build video, I only had a single stick of 8 gigabytes because I was being cheap back then and I didn't want to spend any more money. Eventually I did upgrade to, I got a duplicate RAM stick and I was running 16 gigabytes. I was pondering the idea of doing 32 gigabytes, but really I don't need it. And if I did need it in the future, the price of the memory would probably have dropped for it. So let's go ahead and dive in and start installing all this. Okay, hopefully you can see well there. I have the computer laid down on its side. So unplug the 2 power cables. Oh. There's 2 power cables. This is the audio, I believe. USB 3.0 front jacks, which might be bad on this case. I'm not sure. We'll actually figure out when I get the new motherboard. I already removed the graphics card back when I was changing out the USB port. Okay, I don't feel like going into the shed to get my screwdriver, but I found this little stubby in my drawer. Oh, gotta find that. Okay, here's the TV tuner card. It's not that I am going to be putting in my new computer because I do have a couple of shows I like to tape that I can't view live. And I'm going to need a flashlight here because my house has terrible lighting. Okay, now we're going to take the screws out for the motherboard. Oh. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to try to list this motherboard with the RAM and CPU on it on Facebook Marketplace, and I think I'm just going to list it for $100 and tell people that the CPU is good, the RAM's good. I think the RAM is worth the $100 alone, and see how many people bite on it. Maybe I can sell it back. I still have, if you watch my old PC build video, I don't know if I talk about what I had before. I still have that other computer. The other computer has a quad. No, it might be, the other computer has a Core 2 Duo in it. That other computer's 10 years old. This computer had an i5 in it. I forget what gigahertz, but it was an i5 quad core. So I'm going from an i5 quad core to an i7 hex core, I guess. 6 cores. Let me see if one more. I'm also going to reuse my, I'm running Windows 7 Professional. I'm also going to just run Windows 7 Professional. I don't want anything to do with Windows 10. Windows 7 works fine for me. Okay, there's the motherboard. Completely out. And I guess we'll punch out this bezel. Okay, computer case is cleared out, and I already vacuumed the case out when I when I messed up on the USB port. So I guess I'll show you real quick. This one right here is the new one I put in. I soldered in and just caused the whole board to go dead. So I guess I got a little too cocky in my soldering abilities. So here is the MSI Tomahawk. Intel motherboards, drivers, and utilities. MSI product. Installation manual. Oh, big brochure. Installation manual. Tell you to flip the socket up, put the CPU down. Flip the socket down, and you just put the fan on. And it comes with the bezel plate, comes with some SATA cables, and comes with this header extender. I don't know what that's for. Let me see. Oh, the header extender might be for the fan. SATA cables. Yeah, as of right now, I don't know what the... Take it out of the anti-static bag. And I'm going to go over and touch, make sure I'm grounded. I'm not on the floor I'm on linoleum, I'm not on carpet. It's an aesthetically pleasing looking board, if that matters. So that heatsink is pretty big. So first thing I'm going to do is put in my SSD memory, M2. That sits right here. Oh wow, it's a lot smaller than I pictured it. that came off like that, but I think you're supposed to use the standoff. So let me try to see what's going on here. That's not the right size tip. I might have to read the manual on that. Because when I unscrewed it, yeah, I definitely need to leave the standoff in there. And well, I'm gonna have to go into my garage and get a screwdriver that small. I'll be back. Okay, and I'm back. Boy, it doesn't smell too good out there right now. I guess my neighbors are burning insulation off of copper. Yep, so I have the right size screw. Okay, so there's several holes to line up here. We're going to go in that hole. So I'm going to put the standoff in this third hole in. And then this just kind of seats in. Okay, so it's seated all the way in, and then you kind of just push it down and screw it in. Okay, so SSD is installed. So I guess now next is the CPU seal. There we go. Okay, so let me go ahead and undo this. Okay, so I'm going to pop this dust cover off first. Okay, before I open this up, I'm going to try to figure out the keying, because the one corner is cut. Okay, I got the arrow on the corner here. Yep. Okay, so this arrow points to the bottom left. And there we go. The arrow points to the bottom left, and then there's two keying things on the top side here. And then go proceed it down. So this goes underneath there. And you go down and over. Okay, CPU is in. So then, I guess the next part is put the heat sink on. Pardon my reach. So this is a heat sink. So I need to figure out, I want to have the fan blowing in conjunction with the CPU fan. So damn, that's big. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to do this because I haven't done a CPU fan this style, and I'll be back. Okay, I found the instructions, and you actually had to put a back plate on the back of the motherboard, which makes sense. And it says you do not touch the motherboard's back plate, you just put it over top. So I'm going to carefully lift the board up. Put the back plate in, and carefully drop the board down. Okay, then you want to put the plastic spacers onto the bolts of the back plate, then add the mounting bars. Okay, so you first put the plastic spacers on. Okay, then it says to put the mounting bars on. And the mounting bars they go like this according to the picture. Oh no. No, they don't. The mounting bars are the wrong side. But, good thing there's two sets of mounting bars. And you have the curve to the outside. Okay. Okay, and you either put it this way or this way, but you put it this way if you want the fan to go this way, which is the way we want it, because we want the fan to line up to suck in air through the fan in the back. Okay, and I used the wrong spacers because this one says AMD set. So I'm going to pull this off. Pull this off. I thought the spacers were a little loose. Put the Intel spacers on, which no wiggle room. Intel spacers go on perfectly. Now I could orient it the other way, because I have a big fan on the top that I don't have hooked up to my computer. But I want to orient it this way so it doesn't interfere with the RAM. And then you put these thumb screws on to tie it down. And they tell you to tighten it, but do not use excessive force. Okay, tight. Okay, it's tight. Okay, they want you to apply the thermal paste. Then press a small drop, 4 to 5 millimeter diameter of the thermal paste onto the center of the heat spreader. So 4 to 5 millimeter diameter of the thermal paste. Okay, so I'm going to unscrew it in the center. I think that's 4 to 5 millimeters. And it warns that too much paste will cause lower heat conduction. Okay, so it says it wants you from the heat sink. As well as the bottom plastic from the bottom of the heatsink, which I just did. Okay. So at this point, I don't think it matters, but I'm going to make it so that the and then you screw it onto the post. Is it taken? Nope, that one's not taken. So I got this one started. This other side is not starting. Okay, I got that one started. Got both. This one started. Now as you're screwing it against the spring. So let me see if it says anything about, oh, you're supposed to tighten the screws all the way down till they stop. Let me zoom you in here. So then that way the full spring pressure is what is pushing down on the CPU. Okay, so that one stopped and that one stopped. Okay, I believe we're installed. That was a lot easier to install than I was thinking. Okay, fan setup. Reattach the fan to the heatsink using the supplied steel clips. Okay, I gotta figure out what side to see if there's any directional arrows of, oh yeah. So the air goes this way according to the directional arrow on the bottom. And okay, so the fan on the back of my computer case blows out, so I want the flow to go this way. And according to this, the way the clips are, this side gets attached to the metal heatsink, and it says that the airflow goes this way. So actually, I want it to be on this side. So the interesting part about that is am I going to have enough room over top of the RAM to do that? And yep, it'll just barely clears the RAM. So, okay, that's clipped in. Okay, we're clipped in. And then right above there is the fan. On the back side here, on the top of the motherboard, is the fan plug, and it's polarized, so you can't mess it up. Okay, we're plugged in. Cool. I guess while we're here, I'll go ahead and install the RAM before I put it in. And it has a little label here of the RAM. The first slot, it says DIMM A1. Second slot is DIMM A2. Third slot is DIMM B1. Fourth slot is DIMM B2. And actually the twos, it says first. It has a label that says first. So I guess it wants you to put the RAMs in the twos, not the ones. So DDR4 is 288 pins. And the keying should be different. So 2. Okay. Okay, the two RAMs are in. Okay, so now I'm ready to take this motherboard and, oh, I just looked in the viewfinder and saw that you are on the wrong side to be able to see that. But yep, I just installed the RAM and I'm ready to put this in the computer. Okay, now it's time to set it in. Oh, I almost forgot one thing. Almost forgot the plate for the motherboard. Okay, the plate for the motherboard is in. Wow, it's so heavy with the heat sink on. Okay, and I just want to I have misplaced my flashlight. Okay, we are caught on something. There we go. Okay, that lines up. That's interesting. I have a couple of so the motherboard has spots for 9 mounts, and I only have 6 mounts. So hopefully that'll be plenty. Hopefully that'll be enough mounts. It's been so long since I built this computer case, I don't know if I would have more standoffs or not. But the mounts are in a spot where the heavy part of the motherboard is. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the 6 screws in, even though I'm going to have trouble with Okay, I have all the screws in. The motherboard is now mounted. So, next thing, we want to mount the power supply. So, motherboards have 2 power connectors. We have this long one right here, which I'm just making sure I'm getting the keying right with the light. I know it's probably throwing a hot spot on the video. And this side of the motherboard
doesn't have any standoffs on it, so I just am supporting it a little bit. Okay, we're clipped in there. Oh, this side right here is a little out. Okay, it's fully seated there. And we have another power supply connector up here that goes like this. Okay, so the boot drive is connected to the motherboard, so I don't have to worry about that connection. But I need the DVD drive. So for the first boot, I'm only going to have the DVD drive connected. I'm not going to have any of the other, none of my other hard drives connected, just so I don't have any confusion. And we have plenty of SATA ports, and the SATA ports are mounted at an angle, which is a little different, but that one goes in there. And that, it goes to my DVD drive. In the corner here, I have the buzzer. JCOM system. System fan. Speaker. I did not see the speaker connector. But I do have the front panel USB is also mounted to the side. So I'll go ahead and connect that. Okay, this is your audio to the front jack, which goes all the way here, which is barely long enough. Oh, and I had a little bit of room. Okay, so audio is connected. Fine. J power LED, system fan, JCOM. Okay, I'm gonna have to get the system fan. I'm gonna have to get the system fan. Oh, actually, there's a couple of USB connectors. I just found another one. I wanna do this one instead. Okay, I'm going to have to go and read the manual for the motherboard. Okay, so the JF, what's labeled JF, and there's several of them, is a connector. And so you just have to 1 and 3 is hard drive, 1 is hard drive plus. Okay, so hard drive LED plus is to the left. The graphics card. So I am using a GeForce GTX 660 graphics card. For those of you who are wondering about that kind of stuff. And it appears that I gotta move the sockets that the graphics card was in. Yep, sorry to bump the camera there. And it presses in nice and neat. And we have a separate power cable for the graphics card. Right there. And we put the blank plate back onto the top. And I'm going to go ahead and insert this PCI Express tuner. And it just plugs right in there and it gets its power from there and everything. Just put the screw in. And this computer is officially ready to boot up, I believe, for the first time. Okay, I'm ready to power up for the first time, so we'll see if we let the black magic smoke out of it. I also went ahead and bought a new computer desk because I didn't like how my computer setup was. But the computer desk hasn't come in yet, so I'm not ready to set up my new computer setup. So I'm just going to set everything up here on the kitchen table, and then when the computer desk in, I'll get everything set up. And I guess I'll probably show a video at the end showing my new setup, because I won't be able to render this video or put this video together till I get this computer working. Okay, so let's see if I shorted anything out. And I'm going to hit the power button. Oh, we got a light. That's good. Fans are blowing. Although, I don't know how my fan circulation's going. Let's go around to the front here. Oh, we had some text, but I did not see it. Okay, so this is what it says. Or insert boot the media. So I have my Windows 7 Professional DVD. And for those of you who are wondering why you would get the professional version, you get the professional version so you can run more than 16 gigabytes of RAM. Okay, I'm going to insert it into my DVD player. This DVD drive, by the way, is over 10 years old because this DVD drive is from the very first computer I built. Okay, so it says insert boot media and press a key. I do not have a keyboard connected at the moment. Okay, so I just inserted a keyboard, USB keyboard. And I have the DVD in the drive. I press enter, and all it did was move the cursor down. There it is. Windows is loading files. And I rarely use that DVD drive. You know, nowadays you don't use a DVD drive for anything. Oh, look at that resolution. And we have a mouse. I wonder if I can set up without a mouse. I'll see if I can go set up without a mouse. Okay, so probably by now, earlier in the video, you were yelling at me or already typed up a comment saying, Randall, newer gen Intel processors aren't supported by Windows 7. And going into this, no, I did not know that because I don't keep on top of that kind of stuff. But then once I found that out, I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and you can run Windows 7 on newer gen Intel processors. There's just a lot of hoops you had to jump through. So I really didn't wanted to mess with Windows 10.
So I tried to jump through the hoops, and the first hoop that I had to jump through was the fact that I had a PCIe or a NVMe SSD drive, the one I showed earlier. Windows 7 doesn't support that, so you had to embed the drivers in your Windows 7 install disk or install drive, and then run Windows 7, or you got to load the drivers as you're installing Windows 7. So I tried that, every single combination of that. At first, it wasn't even recognizing the drive. Then finally, when I did get it to recognize the drive, when I tried to install, it would fail in the install every single time. And I started realizing, you know what, this is supposed to be a brand new computer, it's supposed to be fast, and having to jump through these hoops and having these compatibility issues isn't a good way to start off. So I broke down and I bought Windows 10 Home Edition. Now on Windows 7, I bought the Premium Edition at the time just to make sure I never ran out of memory space, because Home and Premium had a difference between how much RAM you could have. But when I was checking Windows 10, I didn't see any advantage to having Professional. So I just went ahead and bought Windows 10 Home, which I got 10% off because they were having a sale at the time. So yes, I broke down and I'm going to install Windows 10 in the machine. So here we go. I also want to point out, while I was waiting for my Windows 10 disk to come, and yes, I know I could have downloaded it and installed it, but since I ordered a product key and it came with the disk, I figured I'd just wait to do it with the disk. I did go back and take the motherboard back out and remount it the proper way with all 9 screws, because when I was going through my boxes, I found that I still had spare parts from the case, and I had the standoffs from the case. So I installed the 3 additional standoffs, and I mounted the motherboard right. So I just wanted to go and let you know that I didn't take that shortcut, and I went back and I corrected that. Okay, so I went ahead and I got my new computer desk together, my new setup together, and so far everything's working great. I do have a couple of things I need to get used to with Windows 10, but I have watched a couple of videos and changed some of the security settings. Some of the default security settings on Windows 10 is a little concerning, but you know, they give you options to disable things that you don't like, so I guess that's good. But so far so good. I have a feeling that this PC build video series is going to be very mishmashy and not doesn't have good continuation to it, but I'll probably just go ahead and upload it anyway, since I hardly upload any content. It seems like lately any type of video I try to do, I end up not being able to present the video a way that I'm satisfied with, but I just had to go ahead and continue to upload, I guess. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I guess you can comment down below if I made any stupid mistakes on my PC build. I know Dave Jones just built a new Windows 10 computer, and you know, people were all over him. I do have to go and check in. That RAM I have is 3 gig RAM, so as far as the speed, so I do have to go in and check to make sure I have that enabled. So I hope you enjoyed this video. See ya.